Good evening, early birds. We'll start in a little while, probably 45 seconds or so. Um, just wanted to get on early so that there's no more confusion or there's less problems than we normally have. That's all. Let's get ready. Let's have cake. Espresso. Good evening. It is 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchap Tarduling, adjusting its position here. A Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey under the direction of Chobje Ling Rinpoche. His Eminence Chobje Ling Rinpoche is also under the direction of Rato Kensa Tupten Lundub or Geshe Nikki Vreeland, if you prefer. This is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Stages on the Path to Enlightenment. The Tibetan word of the text, the name of the text we're using is Lam Rim Chenpo. Chenmo, great stages of the path, the great stages of the path. Tsong-kha-pa wrote a very short one and a medium one. This is the largest one, 3 volumes. If there's any problem with the presentation of the sound, sight, etc., let me know. Let Darren Smith know. Is there anything for whom you wish us to pray for? Please put their names in the chat box. And remember, I don't see all of the chat box, so I may not say everyone's name. Work with what we got. What else are you going to work with, rather? So we'll start. The last class is kind of heavy, and I think we need more background before we venture into the rest of chapter 13. So tonight we'll have a very nice potpourri of practical advice and questions you might ask from Khenpo Karthar, from Alex Berzin and the Dalai Lama, from the Dalai Lama himself, and from Jetsun Chichi Jalson. We'll talk a little about the schools because he mentions the Yogacara school. Maybe you don't know what that is. We'll give you a very brief presentation of what that school is and show you the book that you can get for like $6 or $7, real cheap on Amazon. Worth gold. Really is good. Simple. It's like a textbook. So if you want. Anyway, enough blah, blah, blah. We start, the prayers that we say are all on the website in the FAQ section. Scroll down to prayers when you hit that section. Prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious 3 precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here, together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Refuge in Bodhisattva vow, which we recite 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. And now, as a swift return for Rato Chungla Rinpoche to come back to our presence, His Holiness has written a prayer for a swift return. It's on the website. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop soul refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet, you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existences end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full hold of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Lozang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala Karma Yama Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So I said at the beginning, we had a really thick session last time. This section of the LAM requires some background, at least to get an idea of what they're talking about when they say Yogacara or Svatantrika or, Prasangika, etc. So we'll do a little of that. But first, some basic Buddhist advice. First of all, we'll start with this wonderful book, Quintessence of the Union of Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And we're not going to go through Mahamudra and Dzogchen, but there are questions at the end of each. It's a series of lecture that Rinpoche Khenpo Karthar gave, the late Khenpo Karthar. And at the end of each little session, there's questions from the audience, and they must have culled the best ones because these are pretty good. And I picked the ones that might apply to ourselves. This one is about merit. Yeah, what is this merit? You might ask. Maybe we don't. Anyway, this is from page 188 of this text. So, a student asks, this is a question about the nature of merit. On the one hand, it seems to me that merit is something because I understand that merit is important and that we need to accumulate it and dedicate it. On the other hand, when we talk about getting rid of the three aspects, like the gift, the giver, and the act of giving itself, getting rid of them, in other words, seeing them as empty. So we are told that we should no longer think of merit in a conceptual way. This leads me to think that merit is, in fact, not something at all, but is empty. Well, empty is something, never mind, we won't go there. I need more clarification about this. His answer is very good. It's sweet. This is a very good question, Khenpo Rinpoche says, because sometimes it seems as though merit is something, and at other times it seems as though it is nothing, right? If those are our two choices, then we would have to say it is something, because as you indicate in your question, we do need to consciously try to accumulate it. So if we have to go between one, yeah, it is something. We accumulate it with body, speech, and mind, with every virtuous act we perform, with anything we do that benefits anyone else, giving somebody a cup of water, whatever. With all of our Dharma practice, if it's dedicated properly, of course. Even if it's not, you get some merit. So the purpose for ourselves in all of this is to accumulate merit. In this way, we would have to say that it is something, it is not nothing. If it were nothing, we would not bother to accumulate it. Okay, very logical. Now, what he's getting at is the validity of conventional and what the reality is ultimately. Very clever. This is how it plays out in real life. The point here is to accumulate a vast amount of merit and to transform it into the accumulation of wisdom. You can only achieve the accumulation of wisdom by accumulating a tremendous amount of merit, and then, through your recognition of its nature, transforming it into wisdom. The merit is empty. But it's there, and it functions, and it's something. Very interesting. So this is right about what we're discussing all the time. If you accumulate a great deal of merit, but it is not transformed into wisdom, in other words, not properly dedicated, not whatever, we can go on with that. It will lead to positive experience, but as it ripens, it will be used up. It will not be inexhaustible. If it's transformed to seeing the actual nature of it, it's empty. Or if you're dedicating it with bodhicitta, then it's inexhaustible. It's not said here, but we've heard this over and over again. Like putting water in the ocean, it doesn't last forever. You put it in a cup, it'll eventually evaporate. So that same water in the ocean. So if you dedicate all your good acts for the purpose of you becoming a Buddha to help all sentient beings, that merit has got legs, as I would say. We'll put it that way. Use the modern term. It's important, and you have to train yourself to make that. Just recall it when you do something good. I hope by this act you'll be able to just not give somebody food, but feed everyone, become a Buddha, blah, blah. You know. So what he continues now, Khenpo Karthar, what we need is a continuous result so that as our merit ripens, it is not used up. With such a continuous result, we can continue to enjoy the ripening of the merit and at the same time continue also to possess the merit itself as a source of benefit for ourselves and others until we finally attain Buddhahood. It is essential, therefore, to transform the accumulation of merit into the accumulation of wisdom. How is this done? He answers, this is done by resting in the recognition of your mind's nature as is done by a practitioner of Mahamudra when you dedicate the merit. Mind's nature is empty, to put it that way. There's other ways, but this is in the context of Mahamudra practice, so he's answering that key, we could say. By dedicating, while resting in that recognition of your mind's nature, that merit is transformed into wisdom, but not because you have some idea of merit as being nothing. When we talk about dedication that is free of reification of the three aspects, we tend to replace the idea of the reification of the three aspects with the idea of denial of the three aspects, the idea of nothing. That is not what is happening here. Empty of inherent existence doesn't mean it's not there, doesn't mean nothing. We heard this. What we are doing here is dedicating the merit without splitting it into three different things, without thinking that the nature of the merit, the nature of the accumulator, and the nature of the result of the accumulated merit are three different things. We think that they all have the same nature. This is not done conceptually, which is the whole point. It is done simply because at that point the practitioner, while resting in a direct recognition of the nature of all things, naturally perceives that the merit being dedicated, the person dedicating, and the fruit of that merit dedication, rather, all partake of the same nature, empty of inherent existence. That's the unity of it. In a sense, there is a dreamlike quality to the merit they are dedicating, but it is definitely the best possible dream. Very nicely said. It's almost poetic, man. No, really, it's pretty good. Anyway, nice book. If you're interested in Mahamudra, it seems to be all the rage now. Everyone's telling you, oh, you got to study Mahamudra. You got to do. Anyway, 1976, 76, 77, at Dharmadhatu, Trungpa's place. That was the underlying idea, Mahamudra meditation, even for beginners. They'd introduce, with that in the background, introduce basic Buddhism. And there was a 3-day retreat I remember doing in the Greenwich Village Church, with Trungpa Rinpoche. He'd give a lecture each day on this topic. Useful, teaching of the Buddha. So now, our old friend Alex Berzin, this is from a book called The Geleg Kagyu Tradition of Mahamudra. His Holiness is running through the text of the first Panchen Lama Losang Chichi Chalson, I believe his name is. Yes, that is his name. I hope so. Before that, Alex gives a long introduction, which is like a LAM. Alex is going through the basic stages of the path. And he's got some very nice practical advice in easy to understand language. He has his own terms for certain things. He used to call Buddhas the fully evolved ones, evolved. He was quite a friend of Tibet's, and we hung around a lot in around 82, 83, 84. And then again in 89, His Holiness's chakra initiation in Los Angeles. He's a lot of fun. A good jokester, etc. Extremely brilliant. Anyway, this is Introduction to Mahamudra, his essay starting the whole thing. Page 27, I'm going there. Safe direction and Buddha nature. He calls taking refuge safe direction. He says, once we take ourselves and the quality of our life seriously, we've decided we're going to do something to change it. And acknowledge the difficulties we may be experiencing. The next step is to have confidence that, one, possible to overcome them. All our headaches and stuff. What do you think we're doing here? We want to get rid of our suffering. These techniques work, no matter who's saying them. They work if you understand them and apply them. So that's good. It's possible to overcome all our problems. 2, there is a way to accomplish this. 3, we are capable of achieving it. Go out there, guys, and do it. This brings us to the topic of refuge and Buddha nature. He combines the two. Taking refuge is not a passive act of placing ourselves in the hands of a higher power that will do everything for us, as the English word refuge might imply. Oh, so smart. Yes, a lot of people think that way. Maybe not so much on the survey. Think, yeah, I took refuge, but that's it. I'm covered. I got refuge insurance. Do you? Not really. So anyway, let's see what he has to say. It is an active process of putting a safe, reliable, and positive direction in our life, which we do. That direction is indicated by the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddhas, he says, the Dharma and the Sangha, the three precious gems. They are precious in the sense that they are both rare and valuable. Each has two levels of significance: interpretive and interpretable and definitive, and a common representation. The interpretable level leads to the definitive one, while the representation serves as a focus for respect without providing an actual safe direction in and of itself, he'll explain. The Buddhas are those who have eliminated all their confusion so that they are able to use their potentials fully to benefit others. On the definitive level, the safe direction of the Buddhas is provided by their Dharmakaya, or bodies encompassing everything, namely their omniscient awareness and its nature, both of which encompass everything, their omniscient nature and their omniscient awareness, rather, and its nature. The Rupakaya, or bodies of form, that the Buddhas manifest serve as the interpretable level, while the Buddhist statues and paintings are the representations of the first precious gem. On the definitive level, the Dharma source of direction refers to the complete removal or total absence of obstacles, cessation, and the full attainment of good qualities the Buddhas have achieved. Its interpretable level is what they indicate that helps us achieve the same ourselves. This is what I taught. Now actualize it. That's a definitive Dharma. What I taught, it's written down, you study it, you this and that, but the actual full culmination of Dharma is the realization that it causes. All right. Namely, the scriptural pronunciations really said that these are represented by Dharma text. So the Dharma text isn't the whole thing, it's what it does to your mind. And then you activate that Dharma text in your mind. The definitive, you have to realize that it's a cooperative effort. You just don't sit there and let it be done. It would cost too much. They would charge a lot. No, I don't know what they would do. The definitive level of the Sangha source of direction, in other words, the spiritual community, is the internal community of total removals or cessations of obstacles, the internal community in your mind of obstacles and attainments of good qualities within the mind, everything within the mind. Specifically, it is the community of these gathered together by all Aryas, those who have straightforwardly and non-conceptually seen reality, direct realization of emptiness. It's a shorter way of putting it. As they progress further along the spiritual path. Its interpretable level is the community of Aryas, both lay and monastic, with some token of these true removals and attainments. The general community of monastics represents. But the true Sangha, yes, beings who have seen emptiness directly, or Buddhas, etc. And those that aren't still within that community and helping along those who are new, whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. The Sangha is like a nurse. The Buddha is the doctor. The Dharma is medicine. The Sangha is like a nurse. That's a simple way of understanding it. In short, that the definitive level of the three precious gems of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha represents the goal we would like to achieve. Their interpretable level indicates what we rely on externally to bring ourselves there. But we also have to have internal factors that we need to rely on as well. These refer to our Buddha nature. We are capable, as on page 28 now, we are capable of eliminating our problems and achieving the definitive three precious gems because everyone has Buddha nature, namely the various factors or working materials that make it possible. He makes it simple here. Some of the definitions are really complicated. Of all our natural resources, the most important is mind, and it's the one that travels life to life. We all have a mind which, in its nature, is unhampered by anything from experiencing whatever exists. No matter what happens, no matter how confused, stressed, or unhappy we may be, we experience it, the underlying awareness he's talking about. Even death is something that we experience when it occurs. Therefore, because we have a mind that allows us to experience whatever exists, we have the basic resource that allows us to experience a total absence of confusion and a utilization of all possible good qualities for helping others. Brilliant statement. I like this. Provided that such a total absence and utilization actually exist. In other words, if we can establish that it is possible for these two things to exist and that they are not just objects of nice but totally unrealistic wishes, we can be confident that we are capable of attaining them simply because we have a mind, which has Buddha nature. So we have to now examine and see, yeah, it is very nice, and is it a fantasy story, a Disney story? No, no. See, look into it. It's quite possible. We can experience things, Alex continues, without confusion, without being tense. Even the most disturbed, nervous person has moments of clarity and calmness, even if only when he or she is peacefully asleep and dreaming pleasant or innocuous dreams. Some people really suffer in their minds incessantly. This demonstrates that confusion and tension are not integral parts of the nature of mind. Thus, confusion can be removed. Not only can it be removed, but since confusion cannot be validated and can be totally replaced by understanding, which can be verified, confusion can be eliminated forever. That's it. Not just suppressed. So it's important. He continues, thus it is possible for a total absence of confusion to exist. Furthermore, since confusion limits mind from using all its full potentials, once confusion is gone, a utilization of all potentials can also exist. Therefore, since we all have a mind, and all minds have the same nature of being able to experience whatever exists, we can all realize and experience the definitive three precious jewels. Thus, if we aim to remove our confusion and realize our potentials, as indicated by the Buddhas, their achievement, their teachings, what they have built up along the path, and those who are progressing along it, we are traveling through life with a safe, reliable, and positive direction. Taking refuge then means to put this realistic, safe direction in our life. Realistic. Put it. Without it, our practice of Mahamudra either has no direction and leads nowhere, or an unsound direction leading to more confusion and trouble. You could say that about any practice you do. So without the proper refuge, active refuge in your mind. In addition, the further we travel in this safe direction through the Mahamudra techniques or any other, in other words, the more we realize the nature of mind and its relation to reality, the more confident we become in the soundness of this direction and our ability to reach its goal. The stronger our confidence, the further we progress along the path. And your confidence is built up by serious study, by realization. Take your time. Excuse me. This cake is calling me and I shouldn't be eating it. Shame on me. Page 29. Let me check. Last time I ran over, and it won't happen again. Page 29. Although we're not going to get too much into the LAM tonight, because you need background before we jump into the end of this chapter 13, which I hope to provide some of tonight. Behavioral cause and effect, page 29. To proceed in the safe direction of eliminating our confusion and realizing our potentials, the way the Buddhas have done and the highly realized community is doing, we need to understand that all life's experiences arise through a complex process of cause and effect. This is very good. How do you do it? And here it is. DIY Buddhism. All Buddhism is DIY. What we are experiencing now has come about from causes and will produce effects. For example, we may discover that we are often unhappy and have little peace of mind. This may be because most of the time we feel nervous and stressed. No, yeah. And this is because we run around constantly and never relax or take time out for ourselves. We need to realize that if we continue to lead our life in this manner, we are going to experience the same unhappiness and tension, if not worse, in the future. Therefore, if we wish to avoid having a nervous breakdown, he's blunt, we take responsibility upon ourselves to modify our behavior. I would add, physical and mental behavior. This is how we travel in a safe and positive direction in life. We need to pay closer attention to our state of mind and try to relax. Whenever you hear Muhammad, you always hear spaciousness and relaxation all the time. Completely relax in our spacious Muhammad lounge. That's a good one. When Buddhism takes over, the advertising will sound like that. Yeah. I don't think so. We try to stop running constantly, for example, and take time each day to sit in a hot bath or calm down, whatever. Thus, at this first stage of our development, our dread of our situation becoming worse motivates us to try to understand the nature of our mind. You finally say, this is not working. Let's do something. And of course, all you have to work with now is tension and confusion. So we have to we're still open, we still have awareness, so we listen. Taking ourselves seriously, we try to become increasingly aware of the state of our mind so that when it's tense, we modify our behavior in order to affect what we feel. We modify our behavior in order to affect what we feel. We do this because of our confidence in the laws of behavioral cause and effect. To experience something better in life, we realize we must enact their causes. If you come to that realization, that's a big, big deal, because it then says that you're in charge more than you thought you were. You're not beset upon by these things that, how do I get? That's not claustrophobic. It's a workable situation. I found that out. It's a long time. I mean, decades. Renunciation. Ta-da. Although taking a hot bath may make us feel slightly better and our tension may subside for a little while, we know that. So does Haagen-Dazs or whatever. That does not really solve the problem. The next day we return to the same frantic pace and our tension and unhappiness recur. We need to progress to a second level of motivation. We need to develop renunciation. Since many people think of renunciation as a bit masochistic, as if it meant giving up all pleasure and comfort in life, we need to understand it properly. We're not masochists. Who is? No, there are some. Renunciation has two aspects. Number one, the first is a strong determination to free ourselves totally from both our problems and their causes. Problems and causes. It is important to stress here that we do not simply wish for someone else to free us, but we are determined to free ourselves. Moreover, we are determined to rid ourselves not merely of our problems, but of their causes as well. Loaded. Very smart way of thinking, and we should think this way now. Whatever happens is caused. Okay, what's the cause? What can we do about it? That does not mean simply being willing to take some superficial measure like swallowing a pill or taking a hot bath so that we receive temporary relief. We are willing to probe very deeply to discover the root of the innermost cause of our difficulties in life. We're going beyond the temporary suppression, the distraction, which we all do. It requires, Alex continues, a great deal of courage to probe deeply to reach the actual source of our problems. We gain the strength of that courage, however, from being totally disgusted and bored with the poor quality of what we are experiencing in life. There's got to be a better way. We all say this, and then we do nothing. We get distracted. We have to do something. Our constant unhappiness and tension, for example, we want to get rid of that. With renunciation, we decide we've had enough of them. We must definitely break out of their grip. Supi, I had enough. All right. The second aspect corresponds more closely to the Western notion of renunciation. We are determined not only to free ourselves, but in order to do so, we are willing to sacrifice something. This does not refer to foregoing something trivial like television or ice cream. What do you mean that's trivial? Television or ice cream? Or even giving up something not at all trivial, like making love with our partner or ever relaxing and having fun. We need to let go of our problems and all levels of their causes. We might be willing to give up the problem, for instance, of being unhappy because it is painful. But to let go of even the first levels of the causes of our problem is a different matter. The usual first level cause of our problems is our self-destructive personality traits. He's using modern psychological language, which I like, which resonates with us, I would think, excuse me. We need to get rid of self-destructive personality traits. We have to do a little categorization there, take inventory. We must be willing to sacrifice these. We need to give up our attachments, anger, selfishness, and in this case, our nervousness, tension, and constant worrying. If we are not totally willing to forego these disturbing factors that are causing our problems, we can never be rid of our unhappiness. It is much more difficult to give up worrying than it is to stop smoking or watching television, but this is what we focus on when we try to develop renunciation. Yeah, because that's an internal moment by moment awareness that you need to say, what's going on? Here comes a mood. Blunted. I know how to get rid of it. things like it's a constant, and you don't always uh, prevail. You're going to fail here and there. That I say a lot of times is the inner jihad, the war. You against your ignorance. Ignorance backed up by habit pattern, emotion of years, momentum of habit patterns over the many lives we had. It stops now. Here's the instructions on how to do it. Many people who approach the practice of Buddhism are willing to sacrifice 1 or 2 hours of their day in order to perform some ritual practice or engage in meditation. Time is relatively easy to give up, even though their life may be very busy, but they are not willing to change anything of their personality. They're not willing to forego anything of their negative character. With this type of approach to Buddhism, it hardly matters how much meditation we do, our practice remains merely a hobby or a sport. You're just mailing it in. No, I'll do 2 hours. I do 2 hours today, but you're still the same creep you were before, nervous Nelly or whatever you were. I don't know. So there's the, taking assessment of ourselves can be a little painful at first, but you get great rewards. And also, you can change. You have to change. The meditation becomes a hobby or sport. It does not touch our lives. In order to actually overcome our problem, we have to be willing to change, namely to change our personality. We need to renounce and rid ourselves of those negative aspects of it that are causing us so much trouble. This doesn't mean walking around with Dharma clothes or rosaries around your neck and all the externals. It's an internal thing. You don't have to look like any, still wear the clothes you wear to work or whatever, wherever you go. Anyway, this requires, he's saying, even more courage, a tremendous amount of courage, to forge ahead into new territory in our life. But it definitely is possible to have such courage, even though it may be a bit frightening at first. For instance, the water in a pool may be very cold, but if in the summer we are sufficiently hot and sweaty, then because we are so disgusted with being uncomfortable, we have the courage to jump into the water. We are willing to give up, to renounce not only being sweaty, but the cause of discomfort, namely our being in the hot sun and not in the pool. Everybody into the pool. When we first jumped into the pool, of course it is cold. It is a great shock to our system. But we soon become used to the water. In fact, we discover that it is much more comfortable than standing on the side of the pool and sweating. Duh. So it is quite possible to have this courage, this determination to be free of our negative qualities, and this courage to be willing to give them up. Smart move. He starts with a very ordinary thing that we may all can resonate with, showing us that even that is a little bit of a push. We can do it. We must also have the courage to probe even deeper into the source of our problems. Being nervous, tense, and worried, for example, is both the cause of unhappiness as well as the result of something deeper. With the first level motivation, we modify our behavior in order to prevent our problem from becoming worse. Damage control, you might say. He continues, we try to stop running around all the time and do something to relax as an initial measure to reduce and relieve our stress and tension. But now, in addition, we must discover the inner process behind the tension. When we investigate more deeply, we realize that our running around is either the result of our tension or the circumstances in which our tension is manifesting. But it is not the actual cause of our tension. There is something deeper happening that is responsible for this state of mind we have while running around. We are constantly worried, for example, but we must also delve even deeper to discover why we are so anxious and worried all the time. I'm going to continue with this because I don't want to leave it at that. So, it's 2 more pages, not too bad. We have time because, as I said, before we hit the LAM in this section, brief amount of background is necessary. The nature of reality is that the contents of what we experience, such as sights, sounds, thoughts, and emotions, are all objects that arise dependently on a mind. That's my part Siamese cat announcing the news. Yeah, I got it. I heard, yes. The nature of reality is that the contents of what we experience, such as sights, sounds, thoughts, and emotions, are all objects that arise dependently on a mind. They do not exist independently out there. Oh, it's in here, separately from the process of the mind experiencing them. Traffic is quite different from the sight of traffic reflected on the retinas of our eyes in connection with visual cognition. When we actually experience is the latter, the side of the traffic, while the former, the traffic itself, is merely what we call in Buddhist analysis the objective condition for the experience of traffic. It is what we it is what the experience is aimed at, but not what actually appears to the mind experiencing it. Furthermore, our mind gives rise to not simply the appearance that constitutes the contents of our experience, but also to an appearance of a manner of existence that these contents that normally does not correspond to reality. In other words, we're seeing inherent existence. We're seeing them, he also repeat the phrase. Furthermore, our mind gives rise not simply to the appearance of that constitutes the contents of our experience, but also to the appearance of a manner of existence of these contents that normally does not correspond to reality. There's the thing itself, and underlying an assumption we made of how that thing exists. I got this terrible. I'm really in the bind. Yeah, that's what you're looking at, but underneath there's an assumption that it's a claustrophobic situation. You can't get out of it. We cooperate in this. We can get rid of it. That's what I think he's saying. I'm pretty sure. I knew him fairly well. He's at the level of a lot of jokes. And he's a brilliant man. Normally we fixate on, he continues, normally we fixate on the contents of our experience and imagine or misapprehend that they exist independently from their being merely what mind gives rise to as part of an experience. Oh yeah, it's independent. That's what's happening now. And I'm being shelled by this stuff. I'm under attack. Fixated upon these contents and imagining that they exist solidly out there as they appear to, we become nervous and worried about them, which is the source of our tension and thus our unhappiness. This is because if we believe that they are actually out there, there's little we can do about them. If they're really out there, what are we going to do? So we feel helpless and hopeless. This is why we're studying emptiness. The subject and object, all that, those heavy terms. This is a practical application of it. With the Mahamudra techniques or any CHEN or whatever techniques, we shift our focus from the contents of our experience to the process of experience itself, and from that point of view, understand the relation between mind and the reality we experience. So first of all, the thing is happening. What's my mind doing now? How is it seeing it? Oh, you see the process happening. After a while, you get used to it, and you have a good background of study. You see how you're fooled. It's not. That's a false assumption. This happens after study, after thinking. You don't have to read tons of books. Take your time and get a good passage and really understand it. It's the word of the Buddha. It's very helpful. It's a word of compassion to people who want to do nothing but get rid of all your suffering. So we have to join the party. Hey, the ultimate party. Not ultimate. Never mind. This allows us to deconstruct our experience and its contents from being solid and frightening to something fluid and manageable. To make this shift of perspective requires strong renunciation of our morbid fixation on the contents of our experience and the way in which we imagine them to exist. I love that phrase. To make this shift of perspective requires what? Strong renunciation of our morbid fixation on the contents of our experience and the way in which we imagine them to exist. You constantly run this thing, you're trying to watch it with the same crap. Oh no, they should have done that. Blah, blah. Morbid fixation. Not only on what happened, but the assumption they were solid things that happened and they're there. So we have to stop and reconsider. Thus, there can be no practice of Mahamudra or any other emptiness study or whatever, Madhyamaka study, without a proper development of renunciation. So, sort of getting low on time, and I want to introduce two more things. First of all, His Holiness, briefly from this book, part of the soon-to-be 10-volume series, The Library of Wisdom and Compassion. We've heard from it constantly. We'll constantly hear from it again because it's really good. This little vignette that he has here, this little piece of a vignette's a story. I don't know who's the guy. It's called, it's on page 305. It's called Illusion Like But Not Illusions. Remember when we say the prayer, the 8 verses on training the mind, like illusions. They're illusion-like, but they're not illusions. He'll explain that a little bit, and he'll call upon Nagarjuna's 60 stanzas to make his point. So, illusion-like, but not illusions. To yogis who have realized emptiness inferentially or directly in, in meditative equipoise, the appearance or perception of inherent existent objects arises in post-meditation times. In the meditation, as we said before, we don't see the senses dissolve, everything is, we're just like, seeing emptiness that way, conceptually or directly a little stronger, a lot stronger. But after that session, what happens? The Tibetan word nangba is usually translated as appearance, but in this context, it can also mean perception. You come out of the emptiness and things are illusion-like, not as strong, not as hard. We spoke of this last time. When we say that the world appears truly existent, it sounds as if the problem is coming from the side of the object, the world. Yeah. In fact, the falsity originates in the subject, you, the mind polluted by ignorance and its latencies. That attitude that it's out there is coming from us. That's hard to understand. Keep thinking about it. Due to the latencies of ignorance, all sentient beings' consciousnesses, except Arya's wisdom of meditative equipoise, directly cognizing emptiness, the disclaimer, are obscured in that they perceive the world as truly existent, right from perception. Rather than accept these mistaken appearances / perceptions as true, these yogis know them to be deceptive and false. Nagarjuna gives us a hint of this experience. The 60 stanzas of reasoning, Yukti Sastrika Karika, something like that. Verses 25 to 27. Here's Nagarjuna. Those who are learned with respect to the facts see that things are impermanent, deceptive, mere shells, empty and selfless. They see them as utterly void. Devoid of locus, the place in the word, there is nothing to objectify. Rootless, they have no fixed abode. They arise entirely from the cause, ignorance, utterly devoid of beginning, middle, and end. Like a plantain tree, they have no essence. They resemble the city of Gandharvas. Thus this dreadful world, the city of ignorance, appears like a magical illusion. Gandharvas are supposedly like scent eaters. They're demigods. The Sura realm or whatever, and a lot of times they're associated with musicians, and they live on scent. So if somebody says, your music stinks, well, they're right. You live on scent. Never mind. Bad joke. Anyway, page 306, His Holiness goes on without my mouth. The world and the beings and environments in it have no core. They are fabricated by ignorance. This solidity we add. Because if things are fluid, they're not snapshot solid and staying there. No. This world in which beings suffer appears to ordinary beings as a truly existent reality, when in fact it is like a magical illusion. It appears falsely and does not exist in the way it appears. Like a city of Gandharvas, the nature spirits whose abodes appear real but are actually phantom cities. Their cities are phantom cities. But let's get the definition from the note that's posted here. Note 46. It was very good. I thought I'd bring to mind. Gandharvas are born in the demigod realm. They live by eating scents and are known for their skill as musicians. Ooh, so maybe Charlie Parker was a Gandharva? Interesting. Although veiled truths appear like illusion or to be illusion-like in post-equipoise times, they are not illusions. Looks like it. Duh, that's a real tree, The difference here is subtle. The objects perceived in illusions do not exist at all. There is no face in the mirror, no water on the asphalt in the mirage, no good-looking person in the TV behind that screen, and no monster in a dream, although their appearances exist. These analogies point to the fact that, like the face, water, dream person, and monster, the people and things in our lives appear real, although they are not. These are analogies, and their lack of reality differs from the lack of reality of conventionally existent objects. Harsh words spoken to a person on the TV do not hurt that person's feelings. However, harsh words spoken to an illusion-like person hurt that person. If you strike someone in your dream, no one is injured. But if you strike an illusion-like person, they will be severely injured and will experience pain. Seeing things as like an illusion is not an excuse to abandon ethical discipline. Amen. Not an excuse to abandon ethical discipline. In fact, it is more important than ever to avoid harming others and to benefit them as much as possible. In clear words, Chandrakirti compares illusion-like appearances to the visual disorders. You have floaters in the eyes, myodysopsia. And Chandrakirti says, just like those who have vitreous floaters rather, adhere to what is merely the unreal, the essence of the falsely perceived hair, and so on, as if it had essence. Likewise, because their eyes of intelligence are impaired by the eye disease of ignorance, ignorant beings adhere to things that are without essence, as if they had an essence. As they adhere to their essence, they speak of their characteristics. So it's like somebody who has an eye problem seeing these that are not real. That's how our minds are. And then we assign value. This is a character, this, and it's there. Although hairs and floating shapes may appear to our visual consciousness, they do not exist, even though their appearance exists for those with this visual disorder. Similarly, although truly existent phenomena appear to sentient beings whose minds are obscured by ignorance, truly existent phenomena do not exist inherently, truly, no, even though their appearance exists to sentient beings. Although falling hair and truly existent things do not exist, illusion-like things exist and function. Illusion-like does not mean that something that does not exist still appears. It means that things that exist do not exist in the way they appear. It doesn't mean they're not there. They don't exist the way we think they are. Very simple. Do we have time? Not really. Well, a little bit. I'll push it. Within this combination of appearance and emptiness in post-meditation, Arya Bodhisattvas meditate on bodhicitta, engage in virtuous actions, and purify negativities. This is called integrating wisdom and method combined as a pair. Seeing things as illusion change the way we relate to people and things. Contemplate this passage from Maitreya's sublime continuum, the Uttara Tantra, by reflecting on your own experiences of afflictions, karma, and their results. They resemble clouds, dreams, and deceptive apparitions, respectively. The mental poisons are like clouds. Karma resembles a dream experience. The aggregates produced by the mental poisons and karma are similar to an illusion, or a deceptive apparition. The 12 links of dependent origination, Tsong-kha-pa goes on, His Holiness goes on, which describe how our samsara arises and continues, are grouped into 3 sets: afflictions, karma, and resultant dukkha. Afflictions and karma are the second of the 4 truths, true origin. Polluted aggregates and their result, the first, true dukkha. In this verse, Maitreya directs us to understand that all the factors of samsara lack true existence. Although they appear truly existent, everything about samsara, its causes and results, is false, adventitious, like clouds and dreams and illusions. Until Shravakas and solitary realize become arhats, these are the foundation vehicle are yogis, and until bodhisattvas attain the 8th ground, the seeds of ignorance still abide in their continuums. After meditative equipoise on emptiness, while their understanding of emptiness is fresh and active, they do not grasp true existence. However, after the impact of the realization of emptiness fades, illusion-like appearances will also dissipate, while manifest ignorance and afflictions may arise in their minds. So they must continue their meditation on emptiness with daily sessions to stabilize and strengthen the realization of emptiness. That's simple to understand. We don't have time to understand, to present rather the Yogacara school briefly, but we'll do that next class. For whom will we pray for besides the shooting victims? Well, I don't see any names, but whatever the names that you find, I don't know. I don't see the whole thing, so let's not waste time. Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Presumer. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Okay. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavad Tathagata, Arahat Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He's completely ornamented with all patience. He's the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those along with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He's completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pity. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the Great Yana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And now, further cause for the quick return of Rinpoche, Tsong-kha Rinpoche. Holiness recommends prayer for the flourishing of Tsong-kha-pa's teaching on the website, of course. I'll go quickly. Though he's the father, producer of all conquerors, as a conqueror's son, he produced the thought of upholding the conqueror's Dharma in infinite worlds. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. When of yore in the presence of Buddha Indra Ketu, he made his vow, the conqueror and his offspring praised his powerful courage. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. That the lineage of pure view and conduct might spread, he offered a white crystal rosary to the sage, who gave him a conscious prophesy. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. His pure view free of eternity or destruction, his pure meditation cleansed of dark fading and fog, his pure conduct practiced according to the conqueror's orders, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Learned, since he extensively sought out learning, reverent, rightly applying it to himself, good, dedicating all for beings and the doctrine, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Through being sure that all scriptures definitive and interpretive without contradiction, advice for one person's practice, he stopped all misconduct. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Listening to explanations of the three Pitakas, realized teachings, practice of the three trainings, his skill in accomplished life story is amazing. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Outwardly calmed and subdued by the hearer's conduct, inwardly trusting in the two stages practice, he lied without clash the good paths of Sutra and Tantra. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Combining voidness explained as the causal vehicle with great bliss achieved by method, the effect vehicle, heart essence of 80,000 Dharma bundles, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. By the power of the ocean of oath-bound doctrine protectors, like the main guardians of the three beings' paths, the quick-acting Lord Vaishravana Karmayama, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. In short, by the lasting glorious Guru's lives, by the earth being full of good, learned, reverent holders of the teachings, and by the increase of power of its patrons, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. And now 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I've learned to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the eight worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions. Remember? Be released from the bondage of attachment. So this concludes our presentation for tonight. Thank you so much for your patience in listening to this. Our next class will be the 12th, right? Yes. Yeah, the 12th. Wednesday night at 7 o'clock at the Parsonage in South Orange, New Jersey. All are welcome. On our website is the instructions on how to get there. It starts at 7 o'clock, and we have moderate refreshments. We don't have a 10-course French dinner, no. 9-course, no. Everyone is welcome. So thanks so much. Big love to all of you.